Welcome back, everyone. This is Dave from Corman Productions. Flying solo today without my co-host because we wanted to get this up as soon as possible. We have some exciting news, some from-related news that we wanted to share and get out there. But worry not, her presence will still be felt. She will likely be in the comments, and she also created the thumbnail that you saw when you clicked on this video. I'm going to skip my usual spiel, but I will say there will probably be some light spoilers as I share what some of the people who listen to this podcast have said. So if you don't want spoilers, maybe I would recommend suggesting that you do not watch this particular podcast video until after you've finished watching Season 2. And also, if you like this video and want to support the channel, please like, share, and comment, and please subscribe to my channel. So, a couple of from-related news, the biggest of which was broken to me by Carla Mack while I was at work. If you listen to the podcast at all, you certainly know who she is. She's my Canadian actress that I have a massive crush on. She herself got this news from my future brother-in-law, Russell Sutherland, who got the news from the From on MGM Twitter page, the official From Twitter page, and eventually a TV Line article came out, and now pretty much every news source that of note is reporting on it. So this is definitely official. Season 3 is happening. That's exciting news. We will not be ending the series on a cliffhanger, at least not for now. In addition to that, I have some other news that we did share on the episode 10 podcast, but in case you missed it, we are going to have Reed Price, who played Tom, on the podcast. So we'll be able to ask him some questions. That's exciting stuff. And hopefully he is the first of many interviews that we will have with the cast. We're trying to get some others. None that we are officially willing to announce just yet because they're not officially done. So you have that to look forward to while we wait for From Season 3 to come about, which probably won't happen until next year. And it's actually definite that it won't happen until next year. And we hope to have other guests on, including some of the people that listen to this podcast are fans who it would be great to have on so they can share your theories. Perhaps we will even have like a giant Zoom meeting. I think Stacy suggested this actually, where we'll just have a theory free-for-all. And if we can invite you to that and get it, so that everybody's schedule lines up for it, we would love to do that. So let's get into some shout-outs. These are from both Twitter itself and directly onto the podcast. We have Latrice, whose theory I was supposed to share at the end of the podcast. I never actually quite got around to it. Basically, Latrice said that the ending where someone falls from a tower, specifically Tabitha in this case, and ends up in the real world, is very similar to what happened on the show OA. Now, that's not a show that I watched, but I'm pretty sure my co-host Stacy did, and I think she mentioned it to me at one point. She also says that she thinks the level 2 simulation game theory that we were talking about at the end of the last podcast is very possible, and Abby being Elos makes sense to her. And related to her theory, the OA comparison, she thinks it's possible that Tabitha has dimension hopped into the body of an alternate version of herself. Now, there were a lot of people who suggested that the mirror image that they saw in the window was not Tabitha. I'm not in this camp, though this Latrice theory about her being in an alternate version of herself is kind of a cool idea, so maybe we'll go with that. We'll certainly see when Season 3 resumes. SRH commented, I had thought about them finding Tabitha outside the tree as well, but then why there and not just at the foot of the lighthouse where, she was actually thrown out of? Also, if she is indeed dead at the tree, then Victor may be in trouble because Jim will go find her and think he killed her. And wow, that's actually a very good point. First of all, if Victor's mom's fate was the same as Tabitha's and she went out the tower the same way, then why was her body discovered outside the bottle tree and not at the foot of the tower? So maybe this suggests that Victor's mom's mission was not successful, and she was caught and killed before she went into the bottle tree, before she went into the tower. So maybe this is not how we will discover Tabitha when we resume season 3. And yeah, if she's found dead, Tabitha, I mean, that would be very bad news for Victor because, as SRH just said, he would probably blame Victor, and he's already not Victor's biggest fan. And don't worry, Victor, I'm not Jim's biggest fan at this point either. If Jim comes after you, I will certainly defend you. I might not look like much, but no, actually, I don't. I am not much. So you're definitely going to need some other people besides me to defend you. But I will be right there, ready to defend you. Hopefully I'll get a posse together to also defend you. Russell Sutherland, in the meantime, he has, plenty of theories that, I can't possibly get my mind completely around. I'm kind of just hoping to have him on the podcast so he can explain his theories himself. But he did solve the rope problem that so many people have had. How did the rope get down to Boyd in the tower in, I believe, the first episode of the season? And man, I am so tired of that particular conversation. I would hope that we would have moved on from that. I mean, from my perspective, that's like the lesser of the mysteries in this series. In short, I don't actually care about that anymore, and I regret ever bringing it up. Not that I'm the one responsible for everybody talking about this. I'm sure they would have been doing this regardless. But I did bring it up when we did the episode 1 podcast. Okay, so Russell, and he included pictures on this that I will include right here, said that basically the rope and the dimensions of the room, no matter where that rope was, and he thinks it was within reach of Martin. He could have easily grabbed it and thrown it down to Boyd. And granted, that's a pretty boring explanation, but it might very well be true, and I'm going to go with it because I am tired of this conversation. Russell solved the problem, Martin threw it down to him. End of story. No more need to talk about this. Let's just move on. And Russell, if you're willing, and I'm sure that you are, we're definitely going to get you on at some point to discuss your various theories. Live Long asked me a question, and it reads as follows. If Martin wasn't a manifestation, or some type of vessel illusion, which was kind of my opinion, do you think it's possible Martin could have told Boyd to break the melody box? Yes, I would say it's certainly possible that he could have done that, if he had known to do that in the first place, if he had that knowledge, or if he was inclined to do so. But all evidence suggests that that did not, in fact, end up happening. Ty Izzle 80 commented on the episode 10 podcast, the season finale, and he said that he just discovered the channel, that the YouTube algorithm showed him my videos now, and he's wondering why he didn't see it all along. Well, I mean, it's better late than never. I'm glad you're discovering me now rather than never. He had quite a few theories, but I'm not going to read them all, but I think he's another guy that has some elaborate theories that he might as well just come on and tell us himself. But he did say this, that I will read. I don't believe that that's a hospital, and that's the thing at the end of the episode that Tabitha is in, for the reason that you guys stated. I live in Los Angeles, and we don't even have hospitals that big. Like, one of the biggest hospitals in LA, I know is like maybe 12 to 15 stories high, and this is a city of millions. No reason a hospital would be that big in such a small town, unless they just lease some floors in that building to use as a hospital, which is something that Stacy did actually suggest. Another thing that was fishy to me is Tabitha supposedly was in a coma for 3 days, but she gets up, rips the IV off, and walks to the window. What nurse or doctor is going to see that and not going to rush to her and make sure that she sit her ass back down? That was the other thing that was fishy. I heard this theory that if you superimpose all 3 symbols, they will look exactly like the hospital logo. I got to do this myself to see if it's true, but if it is, that's crazy. And T. Rizzle, welcome to the conversation. Thank you for commenting. It's good to have you on board. Cabin Boy on Twitter was responsible for a bunch of conversation on Twitter that I was tagged in, and I got a huge amount of notifications when I woke up in the morning, and I spent the day just trying to parse everything and basically try to piece together how the conversation happened. He gave our podcast a listen, so I appreciate that. He was actually mentioned in the previous podcast. I think it was, episode 9 that we talked about him, and specifically about his comments about Kenny versus Sarah. And he felt that Stacy was right about Sarah being suspicious, wanting to bury Paula, thinking that the voices had instructed her to do so. Actually, a few people agree with Stacy on this. He also said that Randall deservedly gets shit. I mean, he is an asshole, but he may have been pushed into this role by repeated unfortunate escalations. Now, I more or less made that argument in the episode 9 podcast, saying that while he was an asshole, the people in the town, like Jim, and the secrecy of Donna and Boyd, may have pushed him in this general direction. Now, I'm by no means absolving Randall of his actions, but I do think there was more at play here than Randall just being a jerkwad, which he most certainly is. I think that there's some truth to the fact that they were at least partially responsible for what happened here. And he specifically says that after being puked on and rained on, he was totally ready to help dig Tabitha out. And that is actually something that my co-host brought up. Like, he was someone that went to Jim's aid to help out Tabitha, even though she wasn't there. And, of course, would throw this into his face later on. Brian Spear of Twitter, and a fellow Connecticut resident, said that we were on his watch list, and he was trying to formulate his own theories after listening to what everybody else had to say. Maybe he can join us during the hiatus for our theory free-for-all. It would be certainly good to have him, along with anybody else that wants to join. Now, if you are interested in that, in being part of the podcast, you can reach out to Stacy at TV Coupon Talk, and you can find me on Twitter, Core Productions. I mean, I'm pretty sure most of the people listening to this are going to be on Twitter. You can also join my Corman Productions Facebook page, and you can actually just straight up add me. Dave A. Corman finds me. I'm just going to include my link to my profile in the episode's description, and you can just reach out to me that way if you have any interest in being a part of being on the podcast at some point or another. Now, I'm not promising that we're going to get you all on, but I'm certainly going to try to get some of you on, for sure. And maybe we'll do, like I said, we'll do that big theory free-for-all. Ben and Alex of Twitter says, the Yangui kids have the same style of fingernails as Smiley. Well, that's certainly interesting. I'm not sure what that actually means. It's been my opinion that the Ghastly children and the monsters are very separate beings, but maybe they're somehow connected. I mean, it's safe to assume that everything is connected, but I mean that maybe the Ghastly children and the monsters have more in common than I currently think. And this is evidence of that. Ben and Alex have plenty of things to say, plenty of different theories. I would highly recommend following them on Twitter if you are not already. Ashley commented that, look, Mom, I'm famous. And he said, Stacy, you always seem to know stuff about the actors, backstories of stuff, and also look into things more than I do. So there's a compliment for Stacy. And Ashley Wright, of course, is a longtime fan of the channel. I'm pretty sure he probably is one of my original fans. And he has a YouTube channel of his own that I highly recommend you go and check it out. It's a travel log of Edinburgh, Scotland. So if you have any interest in that, please go and check out his channel. I'll include the link. I haven't actually done that in a while, so I think I'm about due to help him out. And shout outs for Cindy G and Chels for no particular reason. Just because you guys listen, you're part of the conversation. I don't have any particular comments from you to share. I'm sure you made some, but I kind of missed all of them. But anyway, I appreciate you guys. I appreciate everybody who listens to this podcast and supports it in any kind of way. You guys are amazing. I won't forget you when I'm famous, if that should ever happen. 2 more shout outs. One for my amazing co-host Stacy, who without her, this channel would not be what it is. It's definitely been, a lot of fun doing this podcast with her. my publicist, editor, co-host, and all in all round voice of reason. And of course, I cannot quite resist one last shout out for Carla Mack, who, if it isn't blatantly obvious by now, I completely adore. It's been a wild ride, guys. Certainly a lot of good things happening for Corn Productions and me personally. I'm super excited, and I look forward to continuing the conversation with all you guys. And hey, one last shout out for the amazing cast of From, their interactivity, and their work on the series is amazing. You guys are great. I think this is a good place to stop. Like I said, quick hit this time around. I wasn't planning on talking for hours upon hours. If you like this video and want to support the channel, there are a number of ways to do so. You can follow me on Twitter at Core Productions. You can join my Corn Productions Facebook page. You can buy something from the Corn Productions store on Zazzle. You can buy me a coffee, which is a new way to support content creators such as ourselves. And of course, you can like, share, and comment on this video as well as subscribing to our channel. This is Dave from Corn Productions, signing off.